Hey, happy, beautiful, amazing day. Dr. Bob Rakowski here out of Houston, Texas, with part 3 of 3 for our Demolishing Diabetes series. Yes, there is a type 3 diabetes, and it's being called dementia or Alzheimer's. So this is a brain-specific form of diabetes. And the problems are very severe and increasing. So you look at this projection of how dementia is supposed to increase across the globe over the next decades. This is bothersome, certainly for the people, but also the caregivers. So I think it was the journal Health Affairs looked at a survey of unpaid caregivers, family members of those with dementia, and they often worked over 100 hours every single month caring for these family members. In fact, many of them did it until they just couldn't do it anymore. And then getting that done in a home is very, very expensive and taxes the family another way. So I think it was about 8 years ago, I was a major lecturer at the same conference that Dr. Dale Bredesen was a major lecturer. And he was presenting his early research on reversing Alzheimer's. A few years after that, he came out with his book, The End of Alzheimer's, and notice the subtitle, The First Program to Prevent and Reverse Cognitive Decline. And they have hundreds and now thousands of cases where that's happened. But what Dr. Bredesen would teach is that whenever there's a problem with any organ, including the brain, there are 3 distinct zones of cells. There are cells that are dead. Well, there's nothing we can do about those. There's cells that are fine. There's nothing we need to do about those. But in between are cells that are functional, but not functioning. So this foot, this was the first day that I saw this patient. It was given a death sentence. They were going to amputate that foot right there. But we put her on a very powerful nutrient program and look at this foot 2 weeks later, and then ultimately 17 months later. Now, if this were a brain, this person might not remember their spouse's name, their kid's name. They might not even remember their own name. But here they remember a lot, maybe just lost some details of childhood. And as the foot can be reestablished by getting blood sugar under control and other really good nutrients, diabetes affects every cell of the body. So it's beautiful to know that all the tissues of Maureen's body improved very dramatically. So our friend Einstein makes it clear, almost dead is not dead. Functional but not functioning is definitely an accurate description of some nerve cells in patients with cognitive decline or dementia. And as these memory cells become more functional, well, then there are improvements in memory seen. Dr. Bredesen in his book talks about 36 different risk factors that are known to be related to dementia. And he says, by the way, the medical model is usually like plugging one hole in the ceiling, and you can see where that would not be very effective. Well, all of these factors literally fall into the deadly quartet with one added factor, brain trauma. So stress, toxins, malnutrition, and inactivity all contribute to dementia, and brain trauma can as well. If you saw the movie Concussion, absolutely fantastic movie. This was the gentleman featured. His name is Mike Webster. He played 18 NFL seasons, won 4 Super Bowls, earned millions of dollars. But sadly, when he died, homeless under a bridge and didn't even remember his own name. So that was his actual picture in his playing days, and that was his portrayed picture in the movie. And on autopsy, they found something very, very wrong with his brain. And I don't know if the diagnosis advanced chronic traumatic encephalopathy was created from his brain, but it's accurate. Lots of trauma to his brain, and it led to this scarring and shrinking and choking off of vital functions of the brain. So now a quick remedy, Ganoderma lucidum decreases inflammatory process swelling and neuron degeneration after head and brain trauma. There's your PubMed citation if you want to look that up. And how about this? Ganoderma lucidum can dissolve and decline or dismiss the senile plaques and neurofibrillary tangles in the Alzheimer's brain. And again, there's your PubMed on that. And another study, again, another PubMed, dissolves brain plaque and improves circulation, Ganoderma does, in the Alzheimer's brain. So this was mouse brain that was given a concussion. I'm not in favor of that. You know, I like being kind to all creatures, but a group of mice were given an identical concussion. One group got no treatment. The other group got Ganoderma lucidum and some other really good nutrients. And again, Ganoderma was known to dissolve the plaques, break up the tangles, and that was just 21 days. You can see the massive difference there. And a fun case here, Michael Morris is this individual. This happens to be future world champion Evan Holyfield, son of Hall of Famer Evander Holyfield. They were both in my office on the same day. But Michael had a traumatic brain injury. And very, very fortunately, he was consuming Ganoderma regularly at the time, but they life-flighted him. They put him in the ICU, and the doctors told his kids, you know, say goodbye to your dad. He's not going to live through the evening. Well, Michael made an absolutely miracle recovery. He said he felt good enough to jog home from the hospital at 21 days. He didn't jog home, but he felt that good. And again, fantastic brain decline. And he had the advantage of using USDA certified organic Ganoderma infused coffees and teas. And by the way, the nice thing about that is people that drink coffee drink it every day. They never need to be reminded. And I don't wish this type of injury on anybody, but if you did, wouldn't you want to have that great nutrition on board? So now we'll go into the deadly quartet. Stress is certainly a known risk factor to damage the brain and especially the memory center. And hypercortisolism, that means too much of the chronic stress hormone cortisol in the blood, is definitely associated with Alzheimer's disease. Let's go to toxins. Exposure to metals and other biotoxins produced by bacteria, molds, and virus can contribute to the pathophysiology of Alzheimer's dementia. So metals, how about mercury? How about aluminum? And you know, there's a lot of people looking at brain challenges and they're saying, wait a minute, aluminum's in vaccines, mercury's in vaccines. How does that make sense? Why do we put a neurotoxic element in there? That might be a really good question to ask doctors. And of course, do your due diligence before any medical procedure in life. Malnutrition is next. Alzheimer's disease was associated with malnutrition and higher levels of homocysteine. What's homocysteine? Well, it's another marker of malnutrition, specifically B vitamins. And homocysteine is a molecule that can be very, very damaging to the brain and the heart and the nervous system. And how about physical activity? Yeah, absolutely. Higher levels of physical activity can delay the onset of Alzheimer's disease. And seniors that are the most active have 49% reduction of Alzheimer's risk compared to those that are least active. Fun story here about Donna Mae. I was giving a health talk and I was sharing the data on Maureen's foot. And you know, I believe the person in the audience said, you know, my friend's mother is in assisted living. She has, you know, one leg already amputated due to diabetes. That she has a wound on the other that's not healing. She might lose that as well. Do you think Ganoderma could help? Well, my answer is always the same. I don't know if it'll help, but it sure won't hurt. Well, then, you know, she started on Ganoderma tea and I believe some capsules. And within 2 weeks, the wound on the foot had healed, but she already started showing signs of getting her memory back. At 3 months, the doctor said her diabetes was in complete remission, and her dementia was in complete remission. So Jolene actually got an extra 2 good years with her mom. And I always ask, you know, what would even an extra day with your mom, a quality day, be worth? How about 2 extra years? And that can happen with the right nutrition. So toxins in Ganoderma. Ganoderma prevents the brain problems and even Alzheimer's associated with STZ. STZ was a type of chemotherapy that was used for pancreatic cancer until they realized that it destroyed the cells of the pancreas that produce insulin. and created type 1 diabetes. When they gave STZ and Ganoderma, by the way, the pancreas did not get destroyed and type 1 diabetes did not happen. Repeated that one about the importance of improving circulation and dissolving plaque. The Ganoderma spores are the most potent part of the plant, can prevent both Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. This study says, and remember, diabetes itself, type 1, type 2, type 3, easily the biggest and most expensive problem in the sick care system. I told the story in the other presentation. I was at a conference and Barry Sears put up a copy of the USDA food pyramid. He was the author of The Zone. And he said, if ever there was a terrorist-like plot designed to destroy the health of the world, this would be it. So I created my own pyramid. Nature's foods at the bottom. If God made it, it's okay. If man made it, stay away. Superfoods, Ganoderma, the consensus top superfood on the planet. You can look at superfoodevolution.com or superfoods for superhealth.com. So many great studies on Ganoderma. Functional foods are designed from high-level nutrition companies to help blood sugar regulation. A good multivitamin, multimineral, activated form of omega-3s. Those are the resolvin form. Probiotics and a combination of D3 and K2. A paleo keto type diet is like what I like to go with: leans, greens, nuts, and seeds. If it's white, keep it out of sight. And then, Michael Pollan said, eat food, not too much, mostly plants. I'm going to tweak that. I'm going to say, eat real food, eat clean food, not too much and not too often. Why? Because calorie restriction and intermittent fasting are both proven to preserve brain health, body health. And by the way, they're good for weight loss too. And obesity is a risk factor for Alzheimer's. Every color, every day. Why? Because every color has a different blend of nutrients in a way that honors your physiology, your genetics, and your body goals, mostly plants. And by the way, if you're leaning towards insulin resistance or diabetes, paleo, keto, intermittent fasting, calorie restriction, really good strategies for you. So Ganoderma and diabetes, 120 PubMed studies there. And when we start talking about the major complications that make diabetes so expensive, like blindness, kidney disease, amputation, heart attack, and stroke, we have references that show that Ganoderma is great for preventing all of those complications. And you can watch the previous Zooms to catch that. So again, Ganoderma infused coffee, tea, hot chocolate for kids. Full disclosure, I'm an investment in the company. It's too good not to invest in. I share it with my entire patient base, and I'm happy to share it with you as well. So reach out if you'd like to know how to get more. Ganoderma is a huge market, $2.5 billion a year, US alone. Medicinal mushrooms are $50 billion around the globe. So we have the high-end competitors like us, USDA certified, organic, and other certifications. And we have a couple patented processes by which we extract the nutrients and infuse it in coffee and tea to maximize the benefit. These plants here are too sick to reproduce. So companies that don't have spores are likely growing their Ganoderma in plastic bags. Other quality certifications, I've lectured for some of the top nutrition companies in the world. This company has the highest number and level of quality certifications. Omega-3 resolvins, nice PubMed. If you're not familiar with those, you'll want to be. The reason they're called resolvins is everything resolves faster, including diabetes and dementia. If you happen to have neuropathy, carnitine, lipoic acid, and resveratrol are things that we add to the mix to speed up the recovery. And if you start talking about Maureen's foot, we did carnitine, lipoic acid, resveratrol, Ganoderma spores, and the entire pyramid to get that fast change. By the way, exercise is good. I talk about the Magnificent Seven. You've got to eat right, drink right, think right, move right, sleep right, poop right, talk right. By the way, Ganoderma helps with all seven. And here, when we talk about moving right, pain and fatigue are the top reasons people don't move. So Ganoderma modulates the inflammatory process by over 13 proven mechanisms. It also increases mitochondrial electron transport complexes. Mitochondria make 94.4% of human energy, so you can become more efficient at energy production. And then bad conditions like fibromyalgia, Ganoderma, very beneficial. It even is better for the pain of rheumatoid arthritis than the prescription drugs. Every Tuesday, I cover health topics and ask the doctor, and then we open it up for questions. That's the Zoom ID and the password. And this will wrap up the mini course on demolishing diabetes type 1, 2, and 3. And as always, I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful.